Oh my god. Of course they couldn't stop themselves from doing this. Of course they had to actually push this through.
Yay, feature no one wanted.
Yeah, let's start off this season right, baby. So welcome back, everybody. Today we're taking a look at the brand new PC update here, Crossout Gaiden Star, which actually it might be pretty interesting here, but it also has some interesting quirks, and I don't know. We're gonna go over it all today. At least we're gonna go over the news, and we're gonna go over the past itself. So yeah, hopefully it's actually all interesting here. But of course, you don't really need to go with over what the season is, because if any of you have been watching me for no amount of time here, you all know what a season is. It's essentially just the same thing, but the Guiding Star variant. So, pretty interesting here. But after the season, they told you about the important updates, which, again, we already went over back in a previous video, where it's essentially now legendary parts can only be made during this season after you've obtained a recipe, and then after the season ends, you can no longer craft these legendary parts, even if you got to the appropriate level and unlocked the recipe, which seems to be a bit of a, not a big fan of it. But they also seem to be somewhat lessening on this because they offered a light recipe version of this, which means it has less resources to utilize when you're actually crafting it, so it's slightly cheaper, which I guess is kind of nice. However, it still doesn't negate the fact that you can't craft this after the season has ended beyond using future events and participating in game events, or whatever I like to say about this. Because like I said, we don't know the actual duration, the time frame on these events, or anything like that. These could be events that could be annual, they could be once every 2 years, they could be something as asinine as that, unless they mean to put it in with something like the Ravens event. Which, if that's the case, I mean, still not ideal in the slightest, but then I guess you can kind of treat it just like a traditional annual part event. Next, the event level up. This is always actually kind of interesting to point out, because I'm not sure if a lot of people know about this, but if you actually know about it, even if you don't complete the weekly events in-game, they actually stack up every single time. So the hard events and the weekly events that you would find in the game itself, also make sure to go inside to actually collect your container here, which would be quite nice. But if you actually go inside and take a look at the challenges here, for the Guiding Star rewards here. If you come over here to the actually seasonal challenges here, you actually see that the main challenges and the additional challenges, these will all stack up over time. So each one of these, if you don't complete them, they'll carry over to the next week, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So by doing that, you can actually stack these all up, and by the end of the season, you can have just an ungodly amount of quests to do. I mean, you even saw that at the end of the Syndicate season with me, and the fact that I was able to get like some 20 or 30 levels within like 2 hours. So that's why I generally tend to take a break when it comes to the introduction of a season. While the introduction of a season is quite nice and all that jazz, there really is no incentive for me because they didn't do a Twitch event this time when it came to the Syndicate faction, or this Guiding Star faction. But yeah, if you don't see me around playing Crossout for a bit, it's because I'm just waiting for all these events to rack up here. And the thing is, this thing lasts for nearly 90 days, nearly 3 months. Oh my god. Even if I waited 2 months to play this thing, I would still have like 27 more days to play this thing. So it's gonna be a hot second. But what else do we got here? Of course, we got the lovely Cabin the Aggressor, which just increases your damage. The more you drive in a straight line, gives you, what, 7, 14, 21% extra damage. I'm curious, though, if this means a charge that increases the damage of weapons by 7%. I'm curious if that's like it's going to be continuous and that it doesn't burn out with each individual use, or if it's like a tsunami charge in which you actually rack it up, shoot once, and they have to regenerate it. I'm guessing the wording of this makes it sound like it's continuous, that you get to 21% as long as you actually keep it, which actually seems like it might be a bit interesting there. Next, we got the Mechanist. Oh, I love the look of this thing, too. The actual look of this cabin is absolutely sick. Yeah, look at this bad boy here. Ah. So cool. Also, does have that little pocket in the back of it, which you can actually hide parts in, like I theorized a while back. That's awesome. Then you could easily hide your fuel barrels in there for a great little hiding place. Oh yeah, in fact, I even have a little lip right there too. You can hide stuff underneath too. So dang, this thing is going to actually allow some pretty decent undermounting of parts here. Nice. Nice. Other than that, guys, you know the actual durability and the perk of this cabin, which increases the durability of your weapons by 5% for each 1,000 of HP. So if you have a 4,000 HP par, congratulations. Each one of your weapons has another 20% durability here, which is extremely nice here. Next, of course, you got the Gremlin, which is the upgraded version of the Goblin here. And that if you collide with an enemy here, congratulations, you can get a little bit of extra damage on your next shot. Or rather, I guess, next couple of shots, since it actually lasts for 5 seconds here. So, when colliding, 30% for 5 seconds, depending on the amount of damage you do. Excellent. So, definitely a very aggressive weapon here. Next, we got the Thresher here, which seems like it might be interesting here. I'm curious how this will play out in PvE, because the Retcher is absolutely dominant. But we also get hitting the target at 20 meters, increases damage by 7% for 1 second. So you can get this stacking up to 5 times. And since it's only 20 meters, it's not too far away. You can actually do this at a pretty decent distance here. So I'm kind of curious how this will actually turn out. And it'll definitely be a very, very interesting perk to try to utilize as much. I guess also depends on the characteristics of the turn rate and of the grenade itself. If the grenade itself is a very slow projectile like the rest of them, it might be a bit difficult to utilize, but it's not going to be as difficult to utilize, say, as the Retchers with the 100% damage lobbing at like 100 meters. Next, yeah, we got the Vindicator here, which actually looks pretty sweet. The little doors right here that you can kind of see on the side, these actually close further and further shut the more you shoot, which actually is kind of cool. But as you can see, as it heats up, the damage resistance increases up to 40%, which actually means you would have a very similar playstyle to that of the Aspect, and that you actually want to keep the damage or the heat of it very high, so that you can have the most durability of this, which would actually be incredibly nice. That means this thing would effectively have like a durability of 300 if you're able to keep that up there at the 40% resistance. Throw it on the train cabin, then you could have a decent amount. Plus the fact it only drains 3 points of power here is excellent. Next, of course, we got the fancy dancy autocannon here, which unfortunately is not like the other ones that actually gives you a damage bonus depending on your various characteristics. Like Whirl if you have 2 people around you, the Whirlwind if you're shooting at like 100 meters plus. Instead, this one's going to be that gives you invisibility at the last 2 shots for 2 seconds. Which I guess can be interesting. The invisible cloak duration is very short, so I'm not sure if a lot of people are going to be able to utilize it. But if you're just brawling with this and it automatically like makes you invisible for a couple of seconds, I can see that actually being pretty interesting for people against like Hurricane users, Flute users, Pyre users, Nest users, things like that that actually target, or drones, or Caucasus, things like that. So I'm kind of curious how they'll actually play with that. But the issue is I don't have a promo account, so I can't really necessarily just like go into battle and play all these lovely, lovely weapons here. Buggy Wheel, same thing as before, increases the bonus activation depending on your speed. So if you drive really fast, congratulations, you now actually have reduced engine requirements or things like that. So if you need to go like 80 kilometers an hour to do get extra turn speed, now it's been reduced down to, I guess in this case it's a negative 40%. That'd be like somewhere in the range of 60 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour. So pretty nice. But of course it's also a very light wheel here, so it's only meant for very light cabins or medium-sized cabins. For cabins that weigh like 10, 20,000 of these, it'd be very difficult to utilize because you have to have like 20 of these wheels. And of course we have the 2 reload boosters here, which increases the reloading rate of weapons and rockets by 10%. So this previously takes the position that engines were previously taken, but now just by themselves, which I guess can be interesting. It's a bit unfortunate that the engines and this are completely separate now, because I know a lot of people liked utilizing the engine and the reload perk on it, but now if you want to get both, you kind of have to utilize both here. But I guess it's good and bad in a way. It'll make these cannon builds less effective in clan battles, but I'm curious how it'll affect them in PvE. But either way, kind of cool, interesting, and all that jazz. And of course you got the little items here you got for the test range, including the fire and plasma rings here, as well as just a nice little jump pad here. So if you're into sort of cosmetic details there, you get the bonuses. And of course you get the deluxe edition, the regular battle pass pack, same stuff as always. But we also got a new interesting mode here that's only available until July 8th, so not here all the time. But it's a game mode called Operation Gozu. So it's a special PvE brawl that covers the event that takes place during the season. In addition, it's a great occasion to test your strength and team skills to get a memorable rewards. You'll be able to complete the brawl stealthily or by direct assault, and the style will directly affect the amount of time spent on completing the brawl and receive rewards. But one thing at a time. So, alright, seems pretty interesting here. So we gotta destroy a tower, break into enemy territory, upload a virus, and then destroy the Ravager leader. Of course, you can also destroy the cameras and the patrolmen too. Interesting here. And you don't want to actually get caught here. The surveillance cameras will actually raise alarm if you're caught in their field of view. So interesting. You want to avoid them if you're trying to be sneaky here. Or you can try to do the patrolmen to patrol around the territory and spot it. So it's either you can assault them or you can sneak around them. So definitely it's kind of interesting here, and this playstyle actually allows you to be the sneaky person if you had the chameleon modules and things like that. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. I guarantee you, in random groups, this is not going to happen in any way, shape, or form, because I guarantee you, people here are just going to bum rush the boss and call it good. No way in hell are people going to be patient enough to do the sneaking thing, but I do appreciate that there actually is that option to be stealthy. Not to mention, too, that in order to be stealthy, you generally have to have a very light vehicle, which actually may hurt your chances of actually destroying the boss. So that may be something that's not incentivized as much, but we'll have to see about that. I guess I'll take a look at the mode and see what it's actually all about here. But I guess we'll do it in another video. And of course you can just assault here. So yay! And of course if you do that you get stickers and a nice little red eye here, which I guess is a nice little range reward. Very cool. And of course they actually improved the ship graveyard map, which is finally back here, except now instead of being the old ship graveyard, it is now a ravaged ship graveyard here, which is kind of interesting here. And they just have a nice quality of life improvements here. They also now have a recycling mechanic here for cosmetic items. So if you have a lot of stickers, a lot of paint cans, if you've been storing them up here, you now can actually turn these in for nice fancy dancy rewards here. So as you can actually see here, if you recycled a bunch of stuff here of epic quality, you can actually get some pretty interesting stuff here. You can get actually free rental workbenches here, which is like, what, a 75 coin value here. You can get a 200 coin blueprint here, or you can get some very fancy dancy cosmetics here. So very interesting here. Very interesting here. I'm curious as to what would happen if you recycled legendary. Okay, so it appears that it doesn't actually improve the... Interesting, does it actually improve the chances if you go with legendary versus purple versus white? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you can see the chance counter right above the item here, the little bars that tells you what you're most likely to get here. So, if you do actually recycle legendary parts, you get a much heavier chance here of actually getting legendary. Interesting. I wonder if that means basically all the legendary parts now have been sucked off the auction house. There's also a couple of other interesting notes here, in the fact that raids can now only be done in 8,000 power score or higher here, which actually, let me take a look there. Is that the case here? Yep, you can only be in 8,000 or higher now. No longer can people do it in 5,000 cars, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. It'll suck for new players who want to do hard raids to get a lot of money, but at the same time here, it'll also prevent the chance of you actually running into a bunch of noobs in your raid and them actually dying pretty quickly. But I never found that to be an issue, but okay, I guess they solved that now. Of course, they changed the engines as always, but those are the engine changes that we saw the last time here, so we don't really have to go over those. They also improved wheels here to increase the drifting a little bit in there, increasing the handling speed here, and the surface grip, depending on the actual traction, has now been changed, so now no longer it actually takes into a factor, so you won't roll around on sands as much. And surface grip increases with the quality of wheel there, which is always nice to have. You always want to have more control in your car, because otherwise it becomes a lot of slip and slide there, which is not necessarily the best. They also say they have the torque mechanics here, basically it stayed the same, however, that they're not going to implement it in this patch, and that the actual torque changes themselves are going to be planned for a future update. So you can read this all if you want to, if you don't know about any of these updates yourself, but it's essentially the same thing as last time. Other than that, there's also kind of an interesting thing with regards to seal clubbing and clan battles, and that it actually ignores the Asia and Australia forced lock in there. There's a lot of people, in order to seal club, were going into these very low population servers so that they could battle against these people, or against very few people, and have their smaller clan also pair up in that region, and then they just face each other off way more frequently. So now that kind of exploit has been patched up there, which is kind of nice here. But other than that, that's all the major stuff here. You all know about the major rewards here. Basically the same thing here, although I am a bit disheartened the fact that they added in so much of these little stabilizers here. Because the thing is that for the majority of people who never actually plan on fusing items, the fact is that there's so many stabilizers in this event is kind of sucky here. But for a lot of high-end players here, this can be pretty interesting. I'd also think to know about the rewards here is that each one of these little events here now has the possibility of getting this reward that allows you to craft a fused version of your item right off the bat. And this fused version actually has optimal stats here, which actually is quite nice here. So if you want to get a more predictable item here, it's perfect. Interesting to note, though, I actually have not found a single CK in this season so far. So usually other seasons you get like 1 or 2 CKs for previous items here, because I have a bunch of CKs racked up from previous events here. So the thing is, there's no CKs here. Yeah, 0 CKs, just a bunch of paints here, and a bunch of decor items here, which are always nice to have. But yeah, if you're looking forward to CKs this year, yeah, you ain't getting it, buddy. But other than that, I also want to make sure to tell you guys to also make sure to go inside the game at one point in time to get yourself a ye old lovely container here. This is only available until the 24th for us PC users. I'm not sure if it's different for you guys on the console region here, but make sure to get off on here. Get a nice lovely container here, which actually I'm kind of curious as to what it has here. What are the parameters here? Ooh, are you not going to tell me here? Okay, interesting. I feel like this is actually the same case as last time, because it has that same CK for the cord here, but pretty interesting. The only actual CK I actually think about getting at any point in time are the ones that actually change the physical model of the vehicle or the part itself. The ones that are simply repaints, I'm never a big fan of, but hey, that's pretty cool of them to actually add those in. But other than that, I think that'll be everything for me this fine evening. So what do you guys think about the Guiding Star update? Are you a big fan of it? Yay, nay? Let me know how you feel down below. But other than that, everyone, I'll see you guys next time. And feel free to follow whatever platform is your favorite. And feel free to become a member today. It only starts at $1 and you get all of your favorite parts there. But other than that, guys, take care.